doing what we were doing this week. She took the oath of office for her third term, just like we did. She's getting ready to travel home to her district, just like we are. And then on a chilly Saturday morning, which again, this January 8th will be on Sunday this year, but 6 years ago on Sunday, she was doing what 435 members of Congress do when they go back to their districts, which is engage with their constituents, meet with them, hear from them. And she was holding a Congress on her corner. Now, this is one of the most foundational parts of a representative government, to hear from your constituents, to share ideas with them, and to have them bring to their representative their concerns, frustrations, issues with federal government agencies. I mean, this is what we do day in and day out. And 6 years ago on Sunday, everything changed. This was the first assassination attempt on a member of the House of Representatives engaging with her constituents. It ended up being the first assassination of a congressional staffer, Gabe Zimmerman, and we are in the room named after Gabe. Gabe was just like our staff, some of you are here today, and those back at home. They were going about their daily business when Tucson suddenly underwent this horrible attack and tragedy that killed 6 people, wounded 13 others. It really shook our community, this body, and our nation. And this is why this is so significant for us, just nationally. There are tragedies that happen all over the country on a weekly basis, but the reason this isn't just a Tucson tragedy is because the reasons that I mentioned, that this was something that was really an assault on the foundations of civil discourse and a representative government. And what we saw, I wasn't here, but I watched it, as the rest of the country did, even in this body, who came together, I think, in a new way of unity and friendship, even as the State of the Union address was happening a few weeks later, as individuals sat with their friends on both sides of the aisles, and the delegation sat together. That unity and solidarity was really touched people around the country. And our community, in the response to the tragedy, was amazing. Whether it's from the first responders, those in the medical community that cared for the wounding, just really everybody putting aside their differences. Tucson is a very diverse community, but putting aside their differences and coming together in unity to grieve, to show compassion and love, and to be unified, and realizing that there's far more that unites us than divides us. And so that is why the Tucson January 8th Memorial Foundation came together to say we want to memorialize those who we lost, the 6 victims who we lost, those who were wounded and survived, but also the impact that it had both on our country and our nation. And so the Memorial Foundation, we have the executive director here today, Crystal Kasnoff, with us. They have been working over the last years to develop the idea and the design of how to memorialize this tragedy in a way that visitors, not just in our community, but from around the state, around the nation, and the world, could come and find meaningful time of reflection to remember those lives that were lost and really what it meant. And this has been a wonderful process in our community with a team of people that have come together to be a part of this effort. And so I have an announcement to make that I just recently introduced a bill on the floor of the House that makes this a national memorial. It will make it in an affiliated area of the National Park Service. And again, the reason that this is important to have it not just be a Tucson memorial, but a national memorial, are the things that I just mentioned. This attack was an assault on our democratic principles and our representative government. And it's important that that's remembered, and that those who are looking to visit different places that the Park Service has to offer, that when they look at their material, they will see the Tucson January 8th Memorial as a place that they can also go visit, in addition to the Grand Canyon and all the wonderful national parks that we have out there. And so it's an absolute honor to come together with some of my teammates from Arizona, around the country, from both sides of the aisle in a unifying way to introduce this legislation. We also have Senator Flake and Senator McCain are introducing legislation on the Senate side. They couldn't be with us here today. But again, this is a unifying initiative. And we intend not just to introduce the legislation, but to move it forward and to move it out of the House and the Senate and get this signed by the president in order to make this just on January 8th memorial become a national memorial and affiliated area of the National Park Service. I just want to thank everybody who's been involved in this endeavor, everybody from the Foundation's board and staff. This has been a multi-year effort on behalf of the Foundation, but the discussion with members of the delegation, some represented here today, and others about what's the appropriate way to move forward at the appropriate federal level in order to elevate this memorial to the national significance that it belongs. And I feel we found a good solution that everybody was on board with, and today is the first step in that initiative. And so I'm very proud to be leading this effort as the person now who is representing this community that suffered through this tragedy, but also show the best of humanity in the aftermath. And so I want to give a little bit of time for some of my colleagues to share their perspectives, and then we'll take some questions afterwards.